Fitting the gimbal tilt lever to the back of the DJI Phantom transmitter. This particular transmitter is from the FC40. It doesn't come with the standard tilt lever already installed. You may also as well, if you're upgrading a Phantom Vision, which has the tilt control on the application on the phone, some people are fitting the gimbal tilt lever to the back of the transmitter on that one, or if in fact you've got the very early V1 Phantom and you're fitting on either an aftermarket gimbal or a Zenmuse gimbal, you'll need to pick up this gimbal tilt control kit that DJI sell and fit it to here. First thing you need to do is remove the screws from the back of the transmitter. There are 4 altogether. 1, 2, 3, 4. I've already removed 3 of them, so I'm just going to finish off and remove the final one. Remove that out. Now when you're taking apart the transmitter, if you just carefully split it at the bottom, but don't pull it apart because the you can actually snap the transmitter aerial quite easily. Now the aerial at the front here is kind of interlocked in, so the back of the transmitter needs to be lifted up and then you have to slide it in that direction to pull it out. So if you just give it a little wiggle, just not too hard, and that pops off. And it's attached by the power cable. Now the first thing we need to do is, next step is firstly is to fit the back plate. Now on the transmitter, the one we're going to be fitting it to is the top one there. So first thing you need to do is just move the tape like that and then stick it onto the transmitter like this. Give it a little firm push. Then the next thing we need to do is we'll be requiring the small screw. I think it's only about a 2mm. Just pop that one out. What you need to do is place the lever there, then using a small Phillips driver, you can just simply pop the screw in there, in the shaft. Just give it a little tighten. We're not going to be going in all the way, as we need to flip that over, and then this shaft basically pops in the hole. Now give it a little twist till you feel it basically locking in. There's like a sort of square shape in the back of it, and that needs to lock in, so when that lever moves, it's moving the shaft. Then basically tighten up. Now just watch that lever doesn't go flying around. Now don't go mad until it goes sort of tight. And then you want a little bit of resistance. If you go too tight, this is difficult to move and you don't want it sloppy. And now, if I flip that over, if you look really closely at that, when I move the wee, if I can move that up or not, you'll see the little hex moving. Now what that engages into is this small pot here on the transmitter. That is actually the 7th channel. So now here comes the very important part. If you get a small screwdriver, a flat one, and just adjust that pot so it's exactly straight up and down in a cross shape. Now here's the important part. If you adjust the lever on the back so it's all the way up, like in that position, which means the cross here is also in the cross position. This is really important because if you put the back on the transmitter and that cross doesn't line up with that cross, what in fact happens is this whole pot assembly gets pushed down. Now this is actually a problem that arises now and again on the Phantom 2s when they're assembled at the factory. These crosses aren't lined up, and when they're not lined up, it pushes that whole pot down, and you find the first time you go to calibrate your transmitter that the X1 tilt lever for the Zenmuse gimbal isn't actually doing anything because that's been pushed down. Now it's relatively an easy fix. All you basically have to do is these little legs at the side, the little, I don't know if we can move that up, probably go out of focus, but the little metal legs that hold it up, they get bent out like that. So it's literally a case of either getting a pair of long nose pliers and squeezing the legs on either side back in, or you get a very small flat screwdriver and basically just put it in under the edge and just slowly lift it a wee bit at a time on both sides until this pot is raised up. That is basically how you fit it. But as long as you, in the case of fitting the tilt lever, as long as you do it correctly, you won't have a problem. So now that that's all aligned, as I say, keeping that in the aligned position, basically need to, first of all, hook it in here, like that. That's it. And then make sure that's in the right position, and then drop it down to the back. Now, before you screw it in, just check that feels like it has engaged something. So there'll be a bit of resistance as you move it backwards and forwards. Then once you've done that, it's just a simple case of popping your screws back in and retightening them. And do that to all four. While we've actually at the back of the radio, if you are doing this to the Phantom FC40, or if you've got a Phantom 2 transmitter, as they're delivered, they're actually delivered in CE mode, which limits you to 300 meters of range. Now, if you get a small flat screwdriver and put it in that bottom hole, if you just drop that in and then turn it and you'll feel it locking in, then basically if you turn that all the way clockwise, it'll increase the range to 500 meters. You'll know if you're in this mode because when you turn your transmitter on, this is only in the 5.8 gig version in the Phantom FC40 and the Phantom Vision. When you turn the switch on, you'll get, rather than just one beep, you'll get a double beep to mean it's in FCC mode, and also as well you'll of course get a green light there. Now once you've got it all finished and all the screws are back on, it's very important that to get the gimbal tilt control lever to work properly, if you go into the Phantom Assistant software and click on the transmitter control calibration, remember to calibrate your main controls, but also to calibrate the X1 channel. Now when you're calibrating the X1 channel, just move it full throw from one side to the next and move it slowly, just at that sort of speed. Don't whack it backwards and forwards quickly because it won't calibrate properly. Do that and your gimbal will work reliably and smoothly.